I don't know who needs to hear this, but your angel is not letting you ignore this moment. My beloved child, this message for you, congratulations. If you are seeing this right now, then take a moment and really pause, because this is not just another line you casually scroll past. This is one of those moments where something inside you quietly asks you to pay attention, and whether you connect the idea of your Michael has arrived with something spiritual like Archangel Michael, or you simply see it as a symbol, the deeper meaning remains the same. It is a signal, a reminder, a wake-up call that something within you is ready to change, ready to grow, ready to move forward, and the real question is not whether the message is important, but whether you are ready to listen to what it is pointing toward inside you. Think about your life honestly for a moment, not the version you show to others, not the version you tell yourself when you want to feel comfortable, but the real version, the one you feel when you are alone, when there are no distractions, when you can't hide from your own thoughts, because somewhere deep inside, you already know that you are capable of more. You already know that you have potential that hasn't been fully used yet. And you already know that there are things you have been delaying, things you have been avoiding, things you keep telling yourself you will start tomorrow, but tomorrow keeps moving further away, and that is exactly why this moment matters. How many times have you felt that inner push, that quiet voice telling you that you should start something, that you should change something, that you should take your life more seriously, but instead of acting, you ignored it, you postponed it, you distracted yourself with comfort, with excuses, with temporary satisfaction, and slowly that voice became quieter, not because it disappeared, but because you stopped listening to it, and now, here you are again, facing that same moment, that same choice, that same opportunity to either move forward or stay exactly where you are. When the message says, your angel is not permitting you to ignore this, don't take it literally as something external forcing you, understand it as something internal, your own awareness reaching a point where it refuses to stay silent anymore, because there comes a time in life when you can no longer pretend that everything is fine, when you can no longer keep delaying the things that matter, when you can no longer keep choosing comfort over growth without feeling the weight of it, and that time is now. You don't need a perfect sign to start, you don't need someone else to push you, you don't need the perfect conditions, because the truth is, perfect conditions never come, and people who wait for them end up waiting forever, but people who decide, people who take action even when things are not perfect, even when they feel uncertain, even when they are not fully ready, those are the ones who move forward. Those are the ones who create change in their lives. Right now, this moment is not about opening a message, it is about opening your mindset, it is about realizing that your life will not change unless you make a decision, unless you take responsibility, unless you stop depending on motivation and start depending on discipline, because motivation comes and goes, but discipline is what keeps you moving even when you don't feel like it. Think about where you are right now in your life, and think about where you want to be, because the gap between those 2 points is not filled by wishes, it is filled by actions, by daily effort, by consistency, by doing what needs to be done even when it is difficult, even when it is boring, even when no one is watching, because success is not built in one big moment, it is built in small decisions repeated over time. You may feel like you are not ready, you may feel like you need more time, more resources, more confidence, but the truth is, you build readiness by starting, you build confidence by taking action, and you build progress by moving forward step by step, not by waiting, because waiting only keeps you in the same place, while action, even small action, starts creating momentum. Ask yourself honestly, if nothing changes, where will you be 1 year from now? Will you still be thinking about starting? Will you still be making the same excuses? Will you still be stuck in the same patterns? Or will you be able to look back and say that this was the moment you finally decided to take control, that this was the moment you stopped waiting and started doing? Because in the end, your life is not defined by what you think about doing, it is defined by what you actually do, your habits, your actions, your decisions. Those are the things that shape your future, and if you don't take control of them, they will take control of you. You don't need to change everything today, you don't need to become perfect overnight, you don't need to have everything figured out. What you need is to start, to take one step, to make one decision that moves you forward, because that one step creates momentum, and momentum makes the next step easier, and over time, those steps turn into progress. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, stop waiting for the perfect plan, stop waiting for the perfect version of yourself to appear, because that version is created through action, not before it. You become stronger by doing hard things, you become confident by facing challenges, you become better by putting in the effort consistently. Right now, you have a choice. You can ignore this moment like you have ignored others before, or you can treat it as a turning point, as a moment where you decide that things will be different, that you will be different, that you will no longer settle for less than what you are capable of. And understand this clearly, nothing outside of you is going to change your life, no message, no sign, no external push. The real change comes from within you, from your decision to take responsibility, from your willingness to act, from your commitment to keep going even when it is not easy. So don't just read this and move on, don't just feel motivated for a few minutes and then go back to the same routine. Use this moment, take something from it, turn it into action, because action is the only thing that creates real change. Start today, start now, even if it is small, even if it is imperfect, even if it is not exactly how you imagined it, because something imperfect done today is always better than something perfect that never starts. And remember this, your potential is real, your ability to change is real, your opportunity to grow is real, but none of it matters unless you act on it, unless you make the decision to stop holding yourself back and start moving forward. Because in the end, your future is not decided by what you read, it is decided by what you do after reading it, and right now, that decision is in your hands. As you continue with this, something deeper starts to settle inside you, not just motivation, but awareness, because now it's no longer about a message, it's about your life and the direction it's going, and the truth is, most people reach moments like this again and again, moments push, that realization that they need to change something, but they ignore it. They go back to comfort, they go back to routine, and slowly that feeling fades, not because it wasn't real, but because they chose not to act on it. And that is exactly what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. Right now, you are at that same point, but this time you have a choice to do something different, to not let this moment pass like all the others, because if you are honest with yourself, you already know what needs to change in your life. You don't need someone else to tell you. You know where you are wasting time, you know where you are holding back, you know the habits that are keeping you in the same place, and you also know the actions that can move you forward. But knowing is not enough. Because knowledge without action changes nothing, and this is where most people fail. They think, they plan, they imagine, but they don't do. The difference between who you are right now and who you want to become is not luck, it is not talent, it is not even opportunity, it is consistency in action, it is the willingness to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's difficult, even when progress feels slow, because real growth does not happen instantly, it happens gradually. Through repeated effort, through discipline, through choosing to move forward even when it would be easier to stop. Think about your future version for a moment, the person you want to become, stronger, more confident, more successful, more focused. That version of you is not created by waiting, it is created by decisions you make today, by actions you take right now, and every time. Choose comfort over growth, you move further away from that version, but every time you act, even in a small way, you move closer. This is why moments like this are important, not because of the message itself, but because of what it represents. It represents a chance to break your pattern, to stop repeating the same cycle of thinking and not doing, and to finally take control of your direction, because no one else is going to do it for you. No one else can make that decision for you. It has to come from you. You don't need to have everything figured out to start, you just need to begin, take one step, make one change, build one habit, and then keep going, because once you start, you create momentum, and momentum is what carries you forward, even on days when motivation is low. Stop waiting for the right mood, stop waiting for the right time, stop waiting to feel ready, because readiness is created through action, not before it. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start, because delay builds resistance, and resistance keeps you stuck. Instead, break that resistance now, do something, anything that moves you forward, because action is what creates change, not intention, not planning, not wishing, only action. At the end of the day, your life will reflect your choices, not your thoughts, not your intentions, but your actual decisions, and if you want a different result, you need to make different choices, starting now. So don't let this be just another moment that passes, don't let this be something you read and forget, make it count, take control, and start moving toward the life you know you are capable of creating, because as you go further into this, something even more important starts to become clear, not just about what you should do, but about how you have been living until now, because if you really think about it, most people don't fail because they don't know what to do, they fail because they don't act on what they already know. They keep waiting, overthinking, doubting, and delaying, and slowly that becomes a habit, a pattern where nothing really changes. And days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and suddenly a lot of time has passed without any real progress, and that is the reality you have to face honestly if you want things to be different. Right now, you are at a point where you can either continue that same pattern or break it, and breaking it doesn't require something big or dramatic, it requires something simple but powerful: discipline. Because discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation is gone. Discipline is what makes you show up even when you don't feel like it, and discipline is what builds results over time, not in one day, but through consistency. And the sooner you understand this, the sooner you stop depending on feelings and start depending on actions. Look at your habits, because your habits are your reality, not your goals, not your plans, not your ideas, but what you actually do every day. That is what defines where you are and where you will go, and if your habits don't change, your results won't change either, no matter how much you think about it, no matter how much you want it. Because change only happens when your actions change, and that is something you have complete control over. You might feel like it's difficult, like it's not easy to stay consistent, and that's true, it's not easy, but staying the same is also not easy. Staying stuck, feeling like you're not moving forward, watching others progress while you stay in the same place, that is also difficult. So the real question is, which difficulty are you willing to choose, the difficulty of discipline or the difficulty of regret? Because in the end, every choice has a cost, and if you don't choose growth, you are automatically choosing stagnation. There is no neutral ground. You are either moving forward or you are staying behind, and the direction depends completely on what you decide to do from this moment onward. Now imagine yourself 1 year from today. If you continue doing exactly what you're doing now, where will you be? What will be different? What will improve? And if the answer is, not much, then you already know what needs to change. And that change does not start tomorrow, it starts today, right now, with one decision, one action. Everything becomes even clearer, because now it's no longer about motivation or even just understanding, it's about realization, a deep realization that your life is completely shaped by the choices you make every single day. And whether you move forward or stay stuck depends entirely on what you decide to do from this point, because the truth is, nothing around you is going to suddenly change and push you into success. No message, no sign, no perfect opportunity is going to come and fix everything for you. It has always been in your hands, and it always will be. If you look back honestly at your past, you will see a pattern: moments where you knew you should act but didn't, moments where you felt ready but still waited, moments where you chose comfort instead of growth, and those small decisions slowly built the reality you are living today. And this is important to understand because it shows you that your future will be built the same way, not by one big action, but by the small decisions you repeat every day. And if you don't change those decisions, nothing else will change either. At this stage, you don't You don't need more motivation, you don't need more time. What you need is commitment, a clear decision that you are done with the old pattern, that you are done delaying, that you are done making excuses, because excuses might make you feel better in the moment, but they don't move you forward, they only keep you where you are, and the longer you hold on to them, the harder it becomes to break free. Think about what you really want, not what is easy, not what is comfortable, but what truly matters to you, and then ask yourself if your current actions match that, because if they don't, then something has to change, and that change starts with you being honest with yourself, because without honesty, there is no progress. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. You might feel like the journey is long, like it will take time, and that's true, it will take time, but time will pass anyway. The only difference is whether you use it to build something or waste it repeating the same cycle, and 1 year from now, you will either be in the same place or in a completely different one, and that difference will come from what you choose to do starting today. This is where discipline becomes your foundation, not motivation, because motivation is temporary, it comes and goes, but discipline stays. Discipline is what keeps you consistent, what keeps you moving even on days when you don't feel like it, and that consistency is what creates results, not bursts of effort, but steady progress over time. Now is the moment where you stop waiting and start acting, not perfectly, not all at once, but consistently, step by step, because every step you take builds momentum, and that momentum makes it easier to keep going, and once you are in motion, staying in motion becomes natural. In the end, everything comes down to one simple truth: your life will not change until you change your actions, and your actions will not change until you make a decision, and that decision is right in front of you right now, to either continue the same path or to create a new one, and the power to make that choice has always been yours. At this stage, everything comes down to one final understanding, because now it's no longer about what you should do, it's about what you are going to do, and that difference is what separates people who change their lives from those who stay in the same place, because knowing is not enough, feeling motivated is not enough, even understanding everything clearly is not enough unless it leads to action. And this is the moment where you decide whether this becomes just another message you read and forget, or a turning point where you actually take control of your life. If you look at your journey honestly, you will realize that you have had many moments like this before, moments where you felt inspired, moments where you told yourself, "This time I will change," but then slowly you went back to your old habits, your old routine, your old comfort zone, and nothing really changed, and the reason is simple: you didn't follow through with action, because action is the only thing that creates real results. Everything else is temporary, motivation fades, emotions change, but actions build something real over time. Right now, you are standing at the same kind of moment again, but this time you have something more: awareness, because you can clearly see the pattern, you can see what has been holding you back, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it, which means you now have the power to break it, but breaking it requires a decision, a clear commitment that you are not going to repeat the same cycle again. You don't need to do something huge to start. You don't need to change everything overnight. What you need is consistency, doing small things every day that move you forward, because momentum starts, progress becomes visible. At this point, you need to stop negotiating with yourself. Stop saying, "I'll start tomorrow." Stop giving yourself reasons to delay, because every delay pushes you further away from where you want to be, and every action brings you closer, and the choice between those two is completely in your hands. Think about the person you want to become, not just in terms of success, but in terms of discipline, focus, and mindset, because that person is built through actions, through daily effort, through decisions that are not always easy but are always necessary, and if you want to become that person, you have to start acting like them now, not later. This is the moment where excuses end and responsibility begins, because no one else is responsible for your progress, no one else is responsible for your results, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you take control, because once you take responsibility, you stop waiting for things to happen and start making things happen. In the end, everything comes down to one simple truth: your future is not decided by what you want, it is decided by what you do, and if you want a different future, you need different actions, starting now, not someday, not later, but right here, right now, because this moment is the only one you truly have control over, and what you choose to do with it will decide everything that comes next.